Thank you so much and welcome everybody. We are excited to share about our experience on our virtual field trip, which actually happened both in real life and virtually just prior to the beginning of the pandemic. So we are pleased to have you. Next slide, Jen. Oh, I see what you can do. This is our roadmap for our trip today, and I hope this is what you were planning to see when you joined this session. If not, you may want to skip out to another session, but I really hope you don't, because we're really excited to share about our experience. So welcome. This is the Welcome Center at Hobcott Barony, and Dwayne will tell you a little bit more about Hobcott and his work there and our field trip. But we want to welcome each of you, and we are actually a team of 4. We were limited. We could only have 2 of us on the abstract, so but there are actually 4 of us who are instructors for this course. And I will tell you a little bit more about the course, but first I want to introduce us. I'm Kelly Pennison. I'm a clinical assistant faculty member in the Health Services Policy and Management Department in the Arnold School of Public Health. Janet?
Hi, I'm Janet Place. I'm the Director of Practice and Workforce Development and an instructor at the Arnold School of Public Health.
Jen?
Hello, I'm Jennifer O'Neill. I'm a clinical assistant professor in the Department of Exercise Science and an instructor in this course.
And Dwayne.
Good morning, folks. I'm Dwayne Porter. I am a professor and graduate director for the Department of Environmental Health Sciences in our Arnold School of Public Health, and actually on a joint appointment with the School of Public Health and the W. Baruch Institute for Marine and Coastal Sciences in Georgetown.
Thank you, team. I didn't realize I was going to be able to move the slides as well. So, this is our team in the sandbox. And we spent quite a bit of time in the sandbox, and we appreciate that CTE staff, particularly Lydia Frost, created this sandbox course for us. And then Janet, who's one of the most creative people on the planet, made our own picture. These are not actual pictures of us as kids, but they're pretty darn close, actually. Course, Public Health Systems, Policy, and Management is one of 4 new courses in the completely redesigned Masters of Public Health curriculum. We are currently in the 2nd year of implementation of that new curriculum, but we are going to talk to you a little bit about our experience in developing the course and our field trip that we added to the course and the virtual aspect of the course that we added. As I mentioned, this class focuses on public health systems, policy, and leadership, as are the other 3 core courses. This is an interdisciplinary course that is team taught. And so the 4 of us actually developed and teach both a face-to-face version of this class and an online version of this class. As we have exercise science and environmental health science MPH students, we weave those topics throughout the course, and that was a key aspect of our development of the field trip. We spent about 6 months in the sandbox, and we had our virtual sandbox in Blackboard, and then we actually had and spent quite a bit of time in Dwayne's office, which was our other sandbox. And as we were developing and thinking about the class, we asked Dwayne about some of the things that he had in his office, including a picture of Hobcott Barony, which none of us had heard of before. Dwayne, you want to tell us a little bit about Hobcob Barony and how we went about planning the field trip?
Absolutely. So Hobcob Barony is the former plantation of Bernard Baruch, who was the South Carolina-born philanthropist who made his fortune on Wall Street and was an advisor to a number of presidents. His daughter, Belle, absolutely fell in love with the environment of Hobcob Barony and bought the property from her father in the early 60s, 1960s. And she wanted to protect this relatively pristine piece of Georgetown County. So she worked with the Baruch Foundation out of New York to establish it as a nature preserve and establish a contract with the state of South Carolina to maintain this area as a research and education preserve for the citizens of South Carolina. The University of South Carolina, unbeknownst to a lot of folks, maintains the Belle W. Baruch Institute on Hobcob Barony. So we have about an 18,000 acre living environmental laboratory that is literally some of the most amazing coastal ecosystem in South Carolina. And so it is a focus of a lot of our environmental education and research efforts. But the real value of Hobcob Barony is the setting in Georgetown County. It is literally a living laboratory for all things environmental, all things economic, all things cultural. And we are using it as our springboard for our students to learn not only about the environment of Winyaw Bay, North Inlet, etc., but the setting. And we go through the history, the culture, the environment. And it is an area where once we have the opportunity to bring someone to Hobcob Barony and introduce them to this neck of the South Carolina environment, people are they're converts to a greater appreciation of the role that man and the environment have in interacting with each other. And I'll stop there, Kelly.
Great, thanks. So as soon as Dwayne shared about his other office location and the fact that he spent a good bit of time there in the summer, we immediately planned our own field trip. So the instructors left our sandbox, we left Dwayne's Columbia office, and we ventured down to Hobcot to have a course development retreat. But as Dwayne said, as soon as we got there, we said we have to bring the students here. This is something we have to add to the course. And so we started, not how to exactly say it, talking our dean into supporting this. As it turns out, the dean has spent, our dean, Dean Chandler, spent quite a bit of time at Hobcob, so he didn't really need to be sold on it. We then said, would you please pay for this, at least so we could try it out? And they found the money. They agreed. They said this will make a wonderful addition to the course. It will make a wonderful addition to the curriculum. So they said, go for it. But we're a team, and we spent a lot of time working on our team. And Janet kept saying to us, well, what about the online students? Like, this is great. This is wonderful. I agree. We should go there. But what about the online students? And every time we talk about the field trip, she'd say, well, we have online students. What are we going to do? I said, well, how about we let them know ahead of time, and maybe they could actually join us. And she said, yeah, that's great. And actually, some of them did join us on the field trip. She said, what about those who can't? How are we going to make a difference with them? And just about at that time, Lydia and some other folks at CTE who worked with us in this course development process let us know about the opportunity to write a CTE grant to incorporate 360 video. And because we had Janet and we knew her skills and we knew that she, could take this on and make this happen, we proceeded. And then Janet honestly spend so much time, so much energy figuring out how to use and work the 360 camera. And we did actually have our field trip. As I mentioned, it was really almost right before the pandemic. And it was really a fabulous experience. But I want Janet now to tell us a little bit more about 360 video.
Yeah, and Kelly has spent too much time building me up, but and I just sat in on the previous session with Professor Andy Schumpert from biology, and one of the things he said was start small, and that was something that we did not do, and but I have lived to tell about it. So we had this idea, and we got the CTE virtual reality grant, and we got ourselves a Garmin Verb 360 camera, and I must have some male genes in me because I never ask for directions and I never do anything that has to do with preparing properly. But anyway, the idea was, there was on the trip, the students visited a former slave village that became also a part of the Hopkop Barony where workers at the estate lived, and so we did a lot of that. I took pictures of that, and then in the afternoon we went on a walk audit around downtown Georgetown, which Jen will tell you about in a second. Anyway, it rained. Now we had no control over that, but it was definitely added an issue, and you will see in the very short video that I show you what happens when water gets on the lenses of a 360 video. So before I show it, I said practice a lot before using it, and make sure you have a trained videographer with you. We had a great guy with us who's works with a lot of us, and he I just strapped the camera on his shoulder mount and set him off. Now this particular individual is extremely extroverted, and so as you can imagine, he talked a lot during the video, and so that was very humorous, but I had to work around that. Use a wireless microphone. I mean, I can't stress that more because there was a lot of background noise, as you can imagine, with four camera. You can't film on a sunny day. We couldn't because it was already planned, but and you got to expect to learn a lot about 360 editing. It's an adventure, but the start small is really excellent. But what we were trying to show is that we could go out and we could do these videos and make them available to our distance students. And now we know we can go out and film these things again the right way. But it's very enjoyable, and there's so much potential. But anyway, you want to move on to description of the walk audit?
Sure.
Jen?
Yes.
Went back too far. Okay.
All right. So we, as Kelly mentioned, we did incorporate some physical activity into the course, and so I led. During the field trip, I led a walk audit in downtown Georgetown. So this was nearby to Hopkop Barony. And I would like to give credit to colleague Mark Fenton, who created the walk audit, and he is a public health walkability advocate. And so the purpose of a walk audit is to inspire and educate and plan. And so walk audit is a method that is used to engage community members and stakeholders to experience the environment. So they walk through a designated area and observe the physical environment and take notice of how well the environment supports walking, and or biking. And again, also thinking about the environment for people of all abilities. And so during the walk audit, participants will walk segments, a series of segments, and observe how easy or difficult it is to walk. And then we would stop and ask the participants to rate that segment on a scale of 1 to 10. With 1 being low walkability, maybe lots of barriers or obstructions, to 10 being, 10 being very walkable and providing opportunities for people of all abilities to move through the environment. And then we have people share the scores, and we discuss ways in which, if the scores were not 8, 9, 10, we discuss potential ways to make improvements in the environment. And in an ideal setting, a walk audit usually covers a distance of about 1 mile to 2 miles, and the participants would then engage a planning session afterwards so that they can take what they've learned and turn that into objectives. So what Janet has prepared is a section of our walk audit. And so when she plays the video, I'd like you to watch, pay attention to the area, look out for the sidewalk, and kind of try to imagine yourself walking in that area. And then we will stop the video and ask for you to enter your rating on a scale of 1 to 10. So you can just enter that in the chat box. So let's check out the video.
All right, and I'm aware that there's people in this session who are very well versed at this. So think of it. You can think of this as a low-grade horror movie, complete with a Grim Reaper, which is the cameraman wearing a black jacket and hood. So here we go.
Okay, we're going to start off going this way.
Well, like I'm far enough away from the road, so like horses, if there was an accident, I probably wouldn't get hit.
That's the water on the lenses.
Be careful. No injuries. Everyone be very careful. All right, we're gonna gather around. Okay, so think about where we just walked. What rating would you give from a scale of 1 to 10? I'll let you know. 7, 10, 8, 9, 4. Okay, so we got anywhere from 4.
What if you were walking at night?
Oh. Yes, okay. So yes, that is one to consider. So 4 I heard a 10. Okay. So why the numbers?
So can the viewer turn the camera angle as the viewer is watching it?
Oh yeah,
Was it quite-
yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, you can't obviously do it in this format because I'm controlling the video, and I actually was moving it around to try and keep the focus on the sidewalk. But yes, and ideally, and I haven't done it yet, but upload it to YouTube, and then people can watch it using the goggles, and then they will really feel like they are walking along. But not to belabor a point, I mean, you can see what happened. I had to lighten it. I had to do a bunch of stuff to, because it really was dark and rainy. So anyway, take it away, Jen. I think you're doing the.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Janet. So we have one person put a 4, and you can hear me say that in the video we did have some participants mention 4. Are there any other numbers that people would like to submit? And so here's around the middle range. Okay. And so you could hear what I asked the students. So why? What were the reasons for that? Those like middle to low range scores. What were your concerns about walkability? You can enter that in the chat.
Or you can speak up.
Okay. Yes, or you can unmute. Okay, the sidewalk was very cracked. Thank you. Yes. Yes, initially we saw many instances where the sidewalk was cracked. Another consideration is also the width of the sidewalk. Okay, yes, some obstructions. Exactly. Thank you, Andy. Yes, and we had the rain, and you could hear me tell the students to be careful as they were walking.
I muted out everything but that. I muted out everything but Jen talking because the noise of the students chatting was so loud. But again, why you should use a wireless mic.
Yes. Yeah. So, and good points, Priscilla, about them having a sidewalk. So yes, that is an advantage. Sidewalks do make communities more walkable. But we know from research that having a sidewalk doesn't guarantee that people will use it or that it's good quality. And so you probably saw some of those large trees. This was a historic downtown area, and then often with those large trees, the root systems can damage the sidewalk. One thing I do want to mention is where we stopped. We stopped at the corner there, and one of the things that we pointed out to that I was mentioning to the students was that they could have that there were curb cuts. Those are how the curb declines a little bit so that persons in wheelchairs or strollers can easily exit the sidewalk and enter the roadway. And there were also, if you noticed in there in the video, there was a yellow area on the curb, and that was that's what's called a truncated dome, and that's a textile area that allows persons who are visually impaired to let them know that they are entering the roadway. And so that was a positive attribute for that.
Excuse me, Jen. We're out of Jen. We're out of time, so really, I think let's move to the student reviews.
Yes.
Sorry.
All right. That's okay. I was finished. Okay.
And while we're getting the slides back, Kelly, yes, it was pretty isolated, maybe because it was raining. We did comment on that. That was something that students noted as well. Aisha, can you get our slides back for us? We did actually post the videos and asked, we used the journal feature in Blackboard in both versions of the class actually, and we asked students to provide us with some feedback, both those who attended and those who were unable to attend. So as you can see, generally the feedback, despite the quality of the videos, was very positive, and that was very encouraging to us.